You had her attention, all of it, and now she's cold, she's distant, and you're wondering what happened. What if I told you there's a way to flip the script and get her chasing you again without begging, over-texting, or losing your mind? Welcomes the channel. To truly break down today's topic, I'll give you exactly what makes a woman stop chasing you, and more importantly, how to trigger the switch that makes her crave your attention all over again. These are psychological power moves, backed by real-world behavior. If you've ever been ghosted, breadcrumbed, or friend-zoned, this video is for you, so stay locked in. Point 1. Stop feeding her ego. Start it. Alright, let's deep dive into the number one reason why she stopped chasing you, and why flipping the script actually starts with this very point. Here's the hard truth. Women chase uncertainty. Think about it. When you first started talking, things felt exciting, unpredictable, fresh, right? You weren't always available. Your replies weren't instantaneous, and you didn't shower her with constant validation. This uncertainty was exactly why she couldn't stop thinking about you. But now, well, you've settled in. You text back immediately, like every photo, watch every story. Basically, you become a guaranteed source of ego boost for her. In her eyes, you're like a predictable television series. She's already binged. She already knows exactly what's coming next. And so she's bored. Let me break down exactly how you can starve her ego. First thing to do is to master the art of timing. Stop rushing. When your phone buzzes, resist that urge to respond right away. Waiting a little bit isn't rude. It's strategic. Delay your responses strategically. 20 minutes, an hour, sometimes longer. I mean, she needs to wonder why you've seen her message, or if you're just choosing not to reply yet. Let her imagination run wild about what you could possibly be doing. Step number 2, limit your reactions. You're scrolling Instagram, she posts something new, and instinctively, you double tap it instantly, right? You want to stop that. Be unpredictable. Skip a few posts entirely. Don't react to every story she posts. Occasionally engage and then pull away. She'll quickly notice your inconsistency and wonder why she no longer commands such attention from you. Step 3. Cut the excessive compliments. Men who compliment constantly become background noise. Save your praise for moments that generally impress you. When you compliment sparingly, your words become powerful and meaningful. Now, she's craving your approval instead of expecting it. Ask yourself honestly, would you chase a television show that spoiled every episode ahead of time, like you knew what was going to happen before it happened? Of course not. And I didn't think so. Now, when you start her ego, you force her into an emotional corner. Either chase your approval or accept your absence. Trust me, she'll chase. Remember, you're not being cruel. You're reclaiming your power. The less predictable you become, the more fascinated she'll be with you. Point 2. Redirect your energy publicly. Women are attracted to men with options and ambition. I'll be brutally honest for a second. When she sees you sitting at home, waiting for her text, scrolling endlessly on your phone and making her the center of everything around you, you're not only losing attraction, you're actually also losing respect as a man. The powerful secret no one tells you is she needs to see you thriving without her. Believe you me, this doesn't mean being petty or deliberately spiteful. It means generally shifting your focus to your personal growth and allowing her a clear view of it. So how exactly can you do that? Couple of steps. First, get visibly busy. And I talk about this a lot. Shake up new hobbies. Hit the gym. Join local events. I mean, anything that demonstrates that you have a vibrant life beyond your intentions. With her, right? When you're constantly seen involved in meaningful activity, she gets curious. She starts wondering, who's he with? What's he doing now? Am I missing out on something? Her imagination will start to spiral, and that's exactly what you want. Second thing, you want to showcase your wins in a very subtle way. If you ask me, social media is your ally here, but there's an art to doing it right. Don't brag openly. Instead, you want to share stuff casually. For example, post a story at the gym with a motivational caption or a picture of you at a social event surrounded by friends, having a great time. When she sees you progressing, especially if she hasn't heard from you in a while, her anxiety about losing your attention grows. And this is, of course, if she really likes you. Subtlety makes her question everything. Has he forgotten about me? Is he happier without me? Who's giving him this new energy? These are all questions she'll be asking herself. And thirdly, maintain some kind of mysterious edge when it comes to you. Now, you don't owe anyone detailed explanations about your day-to-day. Be intriguing. She shouldn't know exactly what you're up to all the time. Let her see the highlights and make sure you're leaving gaps. The more gaps you leave, the more effort she'll invest to fill them in herself. The key takeaway here is, when you generally invest in yourself, you're signaling high value. When you publicly showcase your evolution, you remind her exactly what she risks losing if she doesn't get with you. And, of course, trust me, once all this happens, she won't risk losing you for long. Have you ever noticed someone chase harder when you try prioritizing yourself? Well, if you have, share that experience below, because I'd love to hear it. And you know I read all your comments. Point 3. Trigger her competitive nature. Let's have a real talk about something most men miss, a subtle switch inside her that can flip everything back in your favor. It's not about arguing. It's not about proving your worth with words. It's about understanding something primal. Women are competitive, especially when they feel they're losing something they once had, and that something is your attention. See, most guys panic when she pulls away. They overthink every message. They chase. They try to remind her of the connection. But in doing that, they strip themselves of the exact thing that made her curious about them in the first place, their grounded masculine presence. That calm, self-possessed energy, the one she felt drawn to before emotions and expectations took over. But here's what you've got to know. When a woman senses another woman is in your orbit, even if it's just a possibility, her internal world shifts. Suddenly, it's not just about you, it's about her status. It's about where she stands. She starts comparing, wondering, calculating. And if she's even slightly emotionally invested in you, she won't let it go easily. That competitive edge starts whispering inside her, and it sounds like, wait, who's she? Or, what does he see in her? Now, this isn't about manipulation. This isn't about playing games or making her jealous just for fun. That's what insecure, reactive men do. We're not here for that. We're here to embody what the Stoics taught, to master ourselves first, our desires, our impulses, our egos, and let that quiet power speak for itself. You don't need to flaunt other women to her. You just need to show the world and yourself that her absence doesn't break your momentum. You're still in motion, you're still building, still laughing, still desirable. And when she sees that, not just hears it, sees it, that's when her mind starts chasing. Let me give you a real-world example. Let's say you and her had a connection, but lately she's been cold, distant. You start pulling your energy back. You stop reaching out. A week passes. Then, one night, you're out with friends, and a photo of you with a confident woman shows up in your stories. Nothing provocative. Just good vibes, your smile in the frame, someone else laughing in the background. You didn't post it for her, but she saw it. Maybe she watched your story twice. Maybe she liked an old post right after. That's not coincidence. That's her competitiveness awakening. Because now, she's not just remembering you, she's remembering the value of you. and she's wondering if she miscalculated. That's the power shift. That's when the flame reignites not from words, but from space, from a shift in polarity. Now, here's where Stoic philosophy anchors us. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Let's adapt that. The best response is not to play her emotional game, it's to remain centered in your own. You don't react. You respond with silence, growth, presence. When she sees you're not desperate for her attention, but fully absorbed in your mission, that's when the energy reverses. Stoic strength isn't loud. It's not about dominance, it's about restraint, control, the art of letting things come to you because you no longer need them to feel whole. And ironically, that's what makes her chase again. Not because you manipulated her, but because she realizes you're a man she has to earn again. And that changes everything. Now, if this hits home, if you've ever seen her energy shift when you stop chasing, drop this in the comments. I know my worth. And we're just warming up. What comes next reveals why silence isn't just powerful, it's seductive. Keep watching. You don't want to miss what's ahead. Point 4. Use silence as power. Let's get something straight. Most men fear silence. They interpret it as rejection, disinterest, or some kind of emotional cliff they're about to fall off. So what do? They rush in to fill the gap with words, explanations, over-apologies, or worse, validation-seeking behavior. And every time they do that, they give away the one thing that actually creates attraction, presence. Silence is not absence. It's not weakness. It's not indifference. In the hands of a grounded man, silence is power. It's gravity. And when used with confidence, it doesn't just maintain respect, it creates desire. Now think back. Has a woman ever suddenly gone quiet on you? Maybe she stopped texting like she used to. Maybe her tone cooled. The average guy's reaction is immediate. Did I do something wrong? Then he starts chasing, checking in, double texting, trying to fix the vibe. And in that moment he loses frame. He gives up his masculine center just to soothe his own discomfort. But here's what a Stoic man does. He breathes. He lets the silence exist. He allows her space because he knows his value doesn't drop just because someone isn't clapping right now. And when she realizes he's not rushing in to break the tension, she starts wondering why. That curiosity? That's the beginning of the chase. See, silence is only scary when you're afraid of being alone with yourself. But if you've done the work, if you've sharpened your focus, lived with purpose, and learned to be your own emotional anchor, then silence becomes a tool, a strategic pause, a signal to her that your world isn't shaking just because she took a step back. And trust me, she feels that. You have to understand, most women are used to men filling every quiet space with noise, explaining, justifying, pleading. So when you respond with presence, not panic, you stand out. She leans in, even if she doesn't say it out loud. Here's where Stoicism comes in strong. Epictetus taught that we should practice silence, not just to avoid trouble, but to strengthen ourselves. Silence builds resilience. It's the space where you hear your own thoughts clearly, where you confront your impulses, and where you sharpen your control. That's not passive, that's discipline. But let's be clear, we're not talking about cold shouldering or punishing her. That's emotional immaturity. This isn't the silent treatment. This is strategic stillness. You're not punishing. You're protecting your energy. You're not avoiding communication. You're creating polarity. Because sometimes, when she feels like she's losing emotional grip on you, when you're not over-explaining or begging her to talk, that's when her desire kicks back in. Not from logic, from emotion, from the mystery, from the question, why is he so calm? Doesn't he care? And the truth is, you do care, but you care enough to hold the line, to not abandon your own emotional posture just to win a moment. Let me give you a real-world moment. You've just had a heated exchange. The air is tense. She says something cold and walks away. Now the younger version of you would follow. would try to patch it up instantly, just to ease the tension. But the man you are now, you breathe, you hold still. You let the moment breathe on its own. And that silence, that calm, unshaken silence, it speaks louder than any apology could. In that stillness, she starts to reflect, not because you forced her, but because your silence held a mirror up to her behavior. And more often than not, she'll come back. Not just to reconnect, but to re-engage from a place of respect. So, if you ever feel that pull, that urge to fill the space, stop, don't rush. Let your silence say what your words can't. Let it remind her that you're not just another man scrambling for validation. You're the one she can't shake off easily. Because silence, when used with strength, doesn't push her away. It pulls her deeper. Now, if this resonates with you, if you've ever seen how silence shifts the dynamic in your favor, drop this in the comments. I hold my frame. And don't go anywhere, we're about to uncover a hidden switch inside her that only a few men know how to trigger. You'll want to hear this. Point number 5. Rebuild your frame and guard it ruthlessly. Here's the truth most men avoid. If she stopped chasing you, it's because at some point you dropped your frame. Maybe it happened slowly. You got too comfortable, too available. Maybe you made her your purpose instead of keeping your purpose at the center. You stopped leading, you started reacting, and without realizing it, your energy shifted from grounded and magnetic to needy and soft. But here's the good news. You can get it back. You can rebuild your frame. And when you do it with intention, with patience, with discipline, you don't just earn back attraction. You earn back yourself. So, what does it actually mean to rebuild your frame? Your frame is your inner foundation. It's the emotional, psychological, and philosophical lens through which you experience the world. And it dictates everything: how you respond under pressure, how you handle conflict, how you show up when she tests you, how you lead your life. And women feel it, not because you say anything, but because it radiates from how you carry yourself. If your frame is weak, your boundaries are shaky. You let little things slide. You say yes when you mean no. You tolerate disrespect. You self-abandon just to maintain peace. And eventually, you stop being the man she respected and start becoming the man she resents. But when your frame is solid, you become immovable. Not cold, not rigid, but deeply secure in who you are and what you will and will not allow. To rebuild that frame, you need silence, solitude, and structure. You start by cutting out distractions. Reduce noise, digital, emotional, social. Get clear on your priorities again. What matters most to you? Where are you slipping? What habits have you let go of? Then, rebuild your philosophy. Get back to Stoicism. Remind yourself of what Marcus Aurelius wrote. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is everything. Because if your mood, your confidence, your value depends on how she's treating you, you've already lost the frame. Your mindset has to be, whether she stays or goes, I'm good. Whether she texts or ghosts, I remain grounded. Whether I win or lose her, I never lose myself. That's powerful. That's attractive. That's rare. Now, once you rebuild that inner foundation, the next mission is to guard it ruthlessly. You can't let every test, every cold moment, every shift in her tone knock you off center. You're not chasing emotional weather. You're not here to beg for warmth. You're the fire. If she wants to feel it again, she'll move closer. And make no mistake, the moment she senses your frame is back in place, her energy will shift. She'll feel the edge again, the presence, the magnetism. But here's where most guys mess up. She comes closer, and they abandon the very discipline that brought her back. They stop guarding the frame. They slip back into old habits. Don't do that. Guard your time. Guard your mission. Guard your emotions. Not by being cold or distant, but by being deeply rooted. You are the gatekeeper of your energy. You decide who gets access, how much, and when. And you never sacrifice your principles to avoid a little tension. Remember, women don't test you because they want you to fail. They test you because they want to feel your strength. So when she pulls away, when she throws attitude, when she brings emotional chaos to the table, it's not personal, it's primal. She's asking, can you hold this? Can you stay calm in this storm? Can you stay you? And when the answer is yes, consistently, calmly, unapologetically, she respects you more, she trusts you more, and eventually she chases. Because deep down, every woman wants a man who won't fold under pressure, a man who leads himself with or without her approval, a man who sets the emotional tone, not reacts to it. That's the frame. And once you rebuild it, once you live it, you become unforgettable. Now, if you've ever lost yourself in a relationship and had to claw your way back, if you felt that shift and said, never again, then this one's for you. Drop this in the comments right now. I lead from strength. And don't go anywhere, because what's coming next is the key to making her feel like you're the only man she'll ever chase again without saying a word. Point number 6. She has to feel your absence. Let's talk about something men rarely understand. Absence. Not ghosting, not punishing, but deliberate absence, with purpose, with presence, and with boundaries. See, most guys are terrified of creating space. The moment she pulls back, they close the distance. The second she seems colder, they try harder. And what happens? She gets even colder. The more he leans in, the more she leans out. But here's the counterintuitive truth. She can't feel your value if she doesn't feel your absence. Now let's pause here. This isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about restoring balance, about recentering your energy, and most importantly, about teaching her, without saying a word, that your presence is earned, not owed. Why? Because when your presence is constant, when you're always available, always checking in, always giving, it loses weight. It becomes expected, familiar, easy. And we all know the human mind doesn't chase what's always there. It chases what it senses, slipping away. So if she takes you for granted, let her. Don't argue about it. Don't explain your worth. Don't beg her to appreciate you. Just pull back, quietly, calmly, without emotion. Let the silence speak. This is a principle rooted deeply in Stoicism. The idea is simple. Don't attach yourself to what you cannot control. You cannot force desire. You cannot demand respect. You can only embody the energy that naturally commands both. So, when you feel her energy shift, instead of panicking, you pause. You create space, not as revenge, but as reset. You go live your life again. You return to your mission, your routine, your growth. You become so locked into your own path that your emotional availability becomes selective, not because you're cruel, but because your focus is back on what you can actually build, yourself. And something interesting happens when you do this the right way. She starts to wonder, where did your energy go? Why isn't he chasing anymore? Why does it feel different when he's not around? And that wonder, that gap between expectation and reality, is where curiosity is born. And where curiosity lives, attraction returns. Now let me be clear. For this to work, your absence has to have weight. You can't just pull away and sulk in the corner. You can't sit around hoping she notices. That's not absence, that's passive aggression. Your absence only has power when it's filled with purpose. You're in the gym. You're building your business. You're surrounded by people who respect your time. You're investing in yourself without asking for anyone's permission. That's the kind of absence she feels. And over time, when she realizes your world doesn't fall apart without her, when she feels your emotional gravity shift away from her orbit, that's when the spark hits. And if she still respects you at her core, she'll feel the need to come closer again. Not because you manipulated her, but because she re-recognizes your value. And if she doesn't, then, brother, your absence just did what your presence couldn't. It revealed the truth. That's what space does. It clears the emotional fog. It cuts through the tension. It exposes reality. Now, some men will say, but won't she just move on if I pull away? Maybe. But let me ask you this, if her connection to you is so weak that your absence makes her disappear, what was really there in the first place? A woman who values you deeply won't just let you vanish. She'll reach, she'll recalibrate, she'll wonder what she did to shift the energy. And most importantly, she'll remember what it felt like to have you fully present and miss it. So don't fear creating space. Fear wasting energy trying to earn what should be mutual. Now, if you've ever had to walk away just to be respected again, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That moment when silence speaks louder than begging ever could. If that's you, say it loud in the comments right now. I respect my absence. And stay locked in, because up next we're going to flip the script. I'm talking about the kind of energy shift that doesn't just get her attention, it makes her chase. Point number 7. Become the man she can't read. Let's get something straight right now. Predictability is the fastest way to lose a woman's interest. You might think consistency is what keeps her, but in truth, it's your edge, your mystery, your emotional discipline. See, the moment she can read you like a book, when every page is highlighted, when every emotion is worn on your sleeve, the challenge is gone. And without challenge, there's no tension. Without tension, no attraction. You want her to lean in? Then stop making it so easy for her to figure you out. I don't mean being deceptive. I don't mean playing games. I mean becoming so emotionally centered, so calmly grounded, that she never quite knows what's behind your stillness. Women aren't just attracted to what's shown, they're pulled toward what's withheld. That's the psychology of attraction. She doesn't want to know everything. She wants to discover it. And if you give it all up front, every feeling, every thought, every insecurity, you remove the most powerful currency you have as a man, your inner world. Now, in the world of Stoicism, there's a concept called apatheia. It's not apathy, it's not coldness, it's controlled emotion. It's being in command of yourself no matter what the outside world throws at you. When you walk in that kind of presence, when your energy doesn't fluctuate with her moods, her tests, or her silence, you become magnetic. Because she's not chasing approval, she's chasing understanding. And the more she tries to decode you, the more invested she becomes. Let me give you a real example. You're on a date. She says something a little off, a small dig, maybe a sarcastic jab to test your emotional control. Most men either laugh awkwardly or get defensive. But you just smile. You hold eye contact. You don't bite. You let the silence stretch for a second longer than comfortable. And then you change the subject. That moment sticks with her. Why? Because she didn't get a reaction. She didn't get the predictable response. She got poise. She got presence. And most importantly, she felt herself become more curious about you. Now, let me be clear. This doesn't mean becoming robotic or emotionally distant. Women can tell the difference between a man who's emotionally numb and a man who's emotionally disciplined. You still feel, you still connect, but you choose when and how to reveal that. Your energy isn't leaking all over the place. It's contained, it's refined, and that makes you harder to read and harder to forget. Another layer to this: never explain yourself too much. A man who constantly explains, justifies, or narrates his actions is a man trying to manage perception. But a man who knows who he is, he doesn't need every word to be understood. He's okay with being misread because he's not here to convince, he's here to lead. And that's what makes him unforgettable. Now, if you're thinking, but won't she get confused if she can't fully read me? Good. That's the point. Confusion isn't always bad. In fact, for a woman who's used to controlling the emotional rhythm, a man she can't predict becomes addicting. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to win every debate. You just have to be unshakable, stoic, selectively vulnerable, unapologetically silent when needed. It's not about being cold, it's about being controlled. So if you've ever been told you're too mysterious, too calm, too unreadable, take it as a compliment. That's the kind of presence that doesn't just get noticed, it gets remembered. Now, if you know deep down you've been too easy to read, too quick to react, or too transparent with your emotions, here's your pivot point. Start now. Reclaim your edge. And if this one hit close to home, drop this in the comments so I know you're stepping into it. I protect my mystery. We're not done yet. What's coming next will shift how you handle one of the most powerful tools in attraction and how you flip the dynamic without ever saying a word. Stay close. Point number 8. Let your silence create pressure. Let me tell you something most men never realize. Silence isn't passive. It's not retreat. It's power. When used with intention, silence becomes pressure. And pressure, when delivered from a grounded man, reshapes the dynamic between you and her entirely. Now, this isn't about giving the cold shoulder or punishing her with distance. That's petty. What I'm talking about is something far deeper, the kind of silence that communicates self-respect without needing to raise your voice or explain your worth. When a woman is used to you reacting instantly, texting back within seconds, trying to fix every uncomfortable moment with words, your silence becomes a shock to her system. And the moment she feels that unexpected space, she starts asking questions, not to you, but to herself. Why isn't he chasing? Did I say something wrong? Is he losing interest? Has he seen through me? That internal storm you just triggered? That's psychological gravity. She's now sitting in her own thoughts, replaying the interaction, studying your behavior like a puzzle she suddenly can't solve. And remember, people value what makes them feel. Your silence is making her feel something real. It's pulling her inward, creating contrast. She's gone from certainty to uncertainty. And that, my friend, is where desire starts to bloom again. In Stoic philosophy, there's this idea of restraint not being weakness, but choice. You're not silent because you have nothing to say. You're silent because you've already said enough. And now, it's her move. This is especially true after she pulls away, acts cold, throws emotional jabs, or tries to shake your center. Most men try to fix the vibe, over-communicate, or chase validation. But the men who stay rooted, calm, and silent, those are the ones who create tension. And tension controlled and masculine is seductive. Let's ground this in a real-world moment. Say you've been texting a woman consistently. Suddenly, she pulls back. She's vague, short, less engaged. Most guys hit panic mode. Hey, are you okay? Did I do something? You've been quiet lately. But a man in his frame? He goes silent. Not cold, not dramatic, just still, just unavailable. He lets her feel that shift, no access to his energy, his thoughts, his warmth. That's when the game flips. That's when your silence becomes the loudest message in the room. And when she comes back, and if she's truly interested, she won't just come back curious, she'll come back respectful. Because you didn't beg, you didn't bend, you didn't broadcast neediness. You showed quiet strength. Silence is also a filter. It shows you who's genuinely invested and who only thrives on your attention. If a woman disappears when you stop talking, she was never there for connection, she was there for control. Let her sit in that. Let her notice your absence. Let your presence be so grounded, so rich, that when you go silent, it feels like something valuable just left the room. But here's the key. Your silence has to be backed by substance. If you're just quiet but anxious, quiet but reactive inside, she'll feel that too. Women are tuned into your energy. Your silence has to come from a man who's centered, purpose-driven, not emotionally rattled. You're not silent to win a game. You're silent because you're building something bigger than temporary validation. You're living in alignment. And you're not going to break that alignment just to soothe someone else's ego. So the next time you feel the urge to fill the air, to chase, to explain yourself, pause, breathe, say nothing. Let the space speak for you. And when you do speak again, your words will carry weight, because they're not cheap, they're chosen. Now, if this message hit like a wake-up call, here's what I want you to drop in the comments right now. I speak through silence. And I'll just say this, the next point we're moving into is one that changes how you're perceived on a fundamental level. If you want her chasing, leaning in, questioning herself, you'll want to hear what's coming. Let's keep going. Number 9. Make her see other women want you. Let's talk attraction at its most primal level. A woman's desire is often ignited not just by how you treat her, but by how the world reacts to you, especially other women. When she sees you're wanted, admired, even just noticed by other women, something inside her switches on. It's not a game. It's evolutionary psychology. It's social proof. And whether she admits it or not, it works. Here's the deal: when a woman sees you being casually admired, when she feels that unspoken competition in the air, she starts looking at you with sharper eyes. Your value goes up without you saying a single word. And it's not because you're trying to make her jealous. That's low-level behavior. This is about showing, not telling, that you're a man in demand, not because you're chasing attention, but because your energy naturally draws people in. Maybe you're at a bar, a social event, the gym, or even online. You interact with women effortlessly, not flirtatiously, but confidently. You're not avoiding eye contact. You're not hunched over your phone trying to seem busy. You're present, composed, and noticed. When the woman you're interested in catches that, she doesn't just observe it. She feels it. The vibe changes. Suddenly, you're not just her option. You're an option women would compete for. That's when her instincts kick in. That's when her competitive nature lights up, and she starts chasing to reclaim what she now sees as valuable and possibly slipping away. Now, don't misinterpret this. You're not out there trying to manufacture attraction with fake stories or weird flexes. That's insecurity. What I'm talking about is living your life so fully, so confidently, that other women naturally respond to your presence, and the woman you're with, or want to be with, can't help but notice that magnetism. This is where Stoic wisdom ties in. You're detached from the outcome. You're not seeking approval or trying to manipulate. You're simply living in your truth, radiating grounded masculinity and letting the world respond accordingly. If women are drawn to that, great, but you're not chasing it. That's the edge. It's the difference between a man who needs validation and a man who attracts it effortlessly. So what does this look like practically? You're at a gathering. You greet women with respect and poise. You smile. You connect. You don't hover around your girl like a guard dog. You move through the room like you belong to yourself. And when she sees another woman linger a little longer in conversation with you, or glance at you twice, the temperature changes. And if she was cold before, suddenly she's warm again. Because now, it's not just about you. It's about who else might want you. That subtle shift triggers something ancient. Desire sharpened by competition. Affection fueled by uncertainty. This is the moment she starts asking herself, do I still have his attention? Does he still want me? And in that tension, in that uncertainty, the chase reignites. Now, if this principle hits home, if you've ever felt a woman pull closer the moment she saw you being noticed, then drop this in the comments right now. I am desired energy. And if you think this is powerful, just wait. What comes next will flip her perception in ways she won't see coming, and you'll never look at pursuit the same again. Let's keep going. Number 10, turn the tables without a word. Here's where things shift for real, and you don't even have to speak. You don't text some clever line. You don't send a long message trying to talk things out. No explanations, no chasing, no pressure. You just change the dynamic by moving in silence. When a woman's energy pulls away, most guys panic. They double down, talk more, try harder. They lean in, and that leaning kills the polarity. But when you do the opposite, when you don't react, when you fall back with strength instead of folding, you flip the whole script. You turn the emotional tables without a single word. This isn't passive-aggressive. This is calculated stillness. You're showing her that your sense of self, your direction, your purpose, none of it depends on her mood. She gets cold, and you don't chase warmth. You don't beg. You don't explain yourself. You simply go quiet, not out of spite, but out of centered masculine discipline. And trust me, she feels it. At first, she might try to act like she doesn't notice. That silence, that space, it creeps in. It amplifies everything. She starts to question the very control she thought she had. And that's where the power is, in the unknown. Because while she's sitting there wondering what you're thinking, you've already reclaimed the frame. See, men who master this don't need to argue. They don't need to prove anything. Their energy speaks for them. And that silence, it screams. It forces her to reflect, to wonder, to feel the loss of your presence, something words could never do. When you stop responding, when you detach, you're not being cruel. You're just refusing to be pulled into emotional games. That's Stoicism. That's masculine leadership. You lead by not reacting. And if she values you, this move hits her differently. It wakes her up. It reminds her, this man doesn't play by her rules. He doesn't fold under pressure. He doesn't chase. He commands without controlling. That's rare. That's magnetic. Now, if you've ever turned the tables like this just by standing still, just by walking away from noise instead of stepping into it, then drop this in the comments right now. I lead in silence. And make no mistake, what comes after this moment, when you master the art of silence and stillness, that's when the real pursuit begins. And that's it, brother. Now you know, if you want her to chase you back 90% of the time, it's not about games. It's about energy, direction, control, stoic silence. You don't force her back. You become the gravity that pulls her in. If this video lit a fire, or even just shifted your mindset a few degrees, subscribe now. This channel isn't here for surface talk. We go deep, we get sharp, we build strong men who move different. And if you're ready to take that next step, join the Stoic Brotherhood. It's not for everyone, but if it's for you, you'll know it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Stay sharp.